So, is there anyone who has any questions? First time I catch up. Okay. Well, I've been instructed to continue from where we stopped, but I can still do a recap of our last class, of course. Any questions or no questions? If there are no questions, I'll just go straight into the matter for today. How the question? Sure. Right.
Yes,
So,
good. Can you
okay,
hear me? Good
yeah,
afternoon.
I can hear you. Who's speaking? Please introduce yourself.
Okay, it's I'm Okora for Divine. So that was not I followed up on the last class through the videos that were posted, but I was not really in class. But I have a question, and it's more on the fact that I send proposals, but I don't even get noticed. I mean I mean it's no, but I don't get responses. I don't know if something you can help help me on something like that.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Certainly, I can help you. Um, there are many reasons why you're not getting responses on your proposals. The first is um, it could be that other people have outbid you, right? So it could be that other people have outbid you. Upwork recently introduced a bidding system where you don't just apply for jobs, but if you want to ensure that your proposal is at the top of the pile on the client's end, then you need to bid with more connects. So if you're familiar with Upwork, and I assume most of you are, to apply for a job, you need something called a connect. So connect is essentially a token that grants you access into Upwork, that grants you access to bid to send proposals for jobs. So depending on the complexity, the industry, the budgets, and a bunch of other factors that Upwork does not particularly give us complete transparency on, the required connects to apply for a job to apply for jobs vary. Right? Some jobs may need 8 connects, some jobs may need 10, some 16. Before, as of like 5 years ago, usually you would see jobs 1, 2, highest 6 connects at the max. But these days you're seeing up to 16 connects. So when you apply for a job, Upwork allows you to bid more connects, to stake more connects to ensure that your proposal stays at the top of the pile or goes to the top of the pile. Now it's a bidding system, meaning you can get outbid by other freelancers. So if a job requires 16 connects to apply base, right? And then you want to be at the top of the pile and you're the first to apply for the job, you can bid, say, 4 connects. So that means your total connects will be 20. So you bid 4 connects, you be at the top of the pile. Another freelancer comes in, sees that there's a bid of 4 connects to be at the top of the pile, and they want to be on top of the pile. Then they have to bid 5 connects or more, and so on and so forth. So it becomes a race where it can reach the point where people are bidding up to 20 extra connects or even 40 extra connects on top of the base connects to be at the top of the pile. So that's probably one reason why I get to notice. Maybe people have outbid you. If you want to be noticed, then you would want to boost your proposals when you apply for a job to ensure that you stay at the top of the pile. Although I say the word ensure, there is no assurance anywhere that you'll be at the top because even if you bid 20 connects, people could still outbid you. So the spaces that Upwork allows you to bid for are the top 4 slots. So you can bid to be number one, number two, number three, or number four. If if 4 people outbid you and you fall out of that top four, the extra connects that you spend to enter that top four, they are returned to you, assuming that the client doesn't view your proposal before you get outbid. I know it may sound a bit complex, but over time you get more familiar with it. So um, that's one reason why you're not getting noticed because people are probably outbidding you. The second reason you're not getting noticed is probably because your profile is not properly optimized. Now, whenever I'm teaching people how to use Upwork, and usually when I'm having like my one-on-one classes where I'm like completely focused on the journey from start to when you get your first job, I like to spend one week or that's three sessions on optimizing your profile, right? The reason why I do that is getting noticed on Upwork is almost like trying to get noticed on search engines. You need to optimize your profile with the right keywords. You need to have all of the right terms, all of the right skills, all of the right tags and highlights that would match um your client's needs. So this is how Upwork looks from the client side. As a client, if I come on Upwork and I post a job, okay, and then you as a freelancer apply for the job, and six other freelancers apply for the job, that's seven people, right? Upwork would before the bidding thing started, what Upwork does is they have an algorithm that arranges how those proposals are seen by the client. And that algorithm would usually take into consideration how much a freelancer has earned, how relevant their skills are to what the client wants, their general work history, their job success score, if they have any badges like top rated rising talent or top rated plus, right? So Upwork has not completely done away with that system. They still use that system, but they use it alongside the bidding system. However, not every job includes bids. Some jobs no one bids. They just apply and there are no, people bidding for, especially if it's a job that's not very lucrative. So when that happens, Upwork reverts to its algorithm that uses those metrics that I mentioned earlier to determine who's going to be shown at top of the list for the client to see. Now, there are two things. Besides that, Upwork it also includes a label called Best Match. They include a label called Best Match on, on a freelancer's profile. If that freelancer's profile matches the client's needs exactly. So if your profile is not well optimized, you're not going to appear at the top of that list because Upwork would sort according to relevance. So if Upwork's algorithm isn't seeing certain keywords on your profile, if they're not seeing enough items in your portfolio, if it's not saying that you have a badge or you've done some work or you have any labels or any form of earnings, then you're not going to appear at the top of that pile. But as a beginner freelancer who doesn't have earnings, who doesn't have labels or any of those tags or badges, any of those badges rather, what you can do is optimize your profile. If your profile has all the right keywords, all the right tools, and includes all the right skill sets, then you can appear at the top of that pile and get not noticed by the client. So that's the second reason why you're not getting noticed by the client. The third reason why you're probably not getting noticed by a client is you probably do not have a good enough hook in your proposal. The hook is your opening line. So as a client, when I post a job and then freelancers submit their proposals, I usually would see a line at the beginning, right? Which would be the beginning of their proposal. It could be like the first sentence or the first 10 or 12 words, right? If those your first 12 words don't catch the client's attention, they are not going to click on your proposal to hire you. So that's the third reason why you're probably not getting noticed. Perhaps you need to work on your hook and ensure that your hook is punchy. And once they see it, they're like, oh, I want to read the entire proposal. And then they click on your profile and then they read your proposal. So those are the three main reasons why you're probably not getting noticed. Of course, all of these things will be addressed in the next few weeks or months. And we would learn how to optimize our profile, how to ensure we write proposals with great hooks, and how to ensure that you increase your chances of getting noticed by clients during your application process. I believe I have answered the question satisfactorily. Are there any other questions? I would say take like,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Once it's 1:15, I'll begin with today's agenda.
Hello.
Yeah. Okay, Olatobi.
I actually raised my hand. I was thinking maybe it's my raising hand, but then I think I just have to.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm seeing you now, but I didn't see you earlier. Your
Okay.
name
Okay.
was
Anyway, my own question is as regards best practices on Upwork specifically. So the challenge is, like this part of the world we have, like in Nigeria, I one thing I usually say is they want a department in one person. But in the foreign market, I know that they want you to be niche based. So for best practices on Upwork, for somebody that does like two or three things and you are just new on Upwork, what will you advise? is it better you just pick one particular skill, don't add too much thing, just pick this skill and optimize your profile for one particular skill, or you can bring in the three skills you have and just set up your profile for that. That's one question. Second question is, is it advisable you just, if you have a well optimized LinkedIn account, can you import your LinkedIn details to Upwork, or is just better you focus on one thing for a start and optimize your profile for that particular skill till you get it right?
Okay, thank you. Those are very good questions. That's the last question I'm taking, by the way. So if you have any questions, you can wait till after the class when I take another Q&A session. For your first question, which is, should you have a niche? If you have multiple skills, how do you go about it? It's advisable to have a niche. When I started freelancing, I would always because I did a lot of research into freelancers that were successful in my field, and let's see what they were doing and how they were able to attain such success. And one thing that I noticed that a lot of them had was they usually had niches. I thought it was a bad idea because I felt, why would I leave money on the table by focusing on only one aspect? Because I'm a writer, focus on only one aspect of writing, and then leave these dozens of other aspects of writing behind. Well, after a year or two into about a year into my freelance career, I realized that having a niche is probably one of the best things you will do for yourself as a freelancer. Why is that so? Because one, you become a specialist. Think of it like a GP and a dermatologist, right? If you're a GP or a family doctor, right, you're a generalist type person. You're doing a lot of things. You're most likely not going to be paid as much as someone who's a dermatologist who has specialized knowledge, although they take on a limited amount of jobs because they are not doing like neurosurgery or anything else. They're doing dermatology. But despite the fact that they have limited amounts of clients they can take on, they still make more money because they are providing higher level knowledge, they're providing higher level expertise to clients. So clients are willing to pay for that. So when clients have very specific issues that they are coming for, patients rather, they're coming for, they know who to go to, and those people charge a premium for it because they know that you're not going to get better quality service from someone who's a generalist, right? It's the same thing with if you're writing or you're offering any service. It's always great to have a niche because while you'll be missing out on other jobs, you're able to charge more for that particular job niche that you're in because you're presenting yourself as a specialist, as someone who's a professional who lives, breathes, and eats that aspect of your job. So say you're a product designer and you say you are a Web3 product designer, meaning you design for Web3 products. If I, as a client, I'm looking for Web3 product designers, I'm not going to just hire a regular product designer. If I see someone who is a Web3 product designer and has done like a dozen projects in Web3, I'm going to be like, this person knows exactly what I want because they have worked with other people who have the same problems as me or who are looking to build this, something similar to me. And I'll be willing to pay more for that because I know that you have laser focus and your understanding is not just wide, but deep, which is very, very important. So yes, you should have a niche. Now, if you have multiple skills, how do you go about it? Thankfully, Upwork allows you to create specialized profiles. So you can have two specialist accounts. Say you're a writer, developer. Right? So you can have one profile where you're a writer. As a writer, you can have a niche. Let's say you're a crypto writer, right? Then you now have a developer. And even under that, you can have a niche. You could be like, you are a blockchain developer. Okay. So Upwork allows you to do that. And then when you're applying for jobs on Upwork, you can choose which profile you want to apply with. And that's the profile that will be shown to the clients. So if you want to apply for a writing job, you would simply send in your proposal with your writing profile or a writer profile. If you want to get a developer job or a development job, you send in your proposal with your development profile. If it's both of them, let's say someone wants to develop an app and also write copy for the app, so you can do both, right? You can then send your proposal with your general profile, which encompasses both your developer and your writer side. Okay. Now for your LinkedIn question, you can't exactly import your LinkedIn account to Upwork, but you can link your LinkedIn to your Upwork. Should you then abandon one for the other? I think that's what you asked. No, you can do both. In fact, I recommend that you do both. You can get work on on Upwork and still get work on LinkedIn is very important because the freelancing space can be very volatile. You have um, ups and downs a lot. It's like if you're into investing or crypto stuff, you know how we talk about bull markets and bear markets, right? You have the exact same thing with freelancing. Sometimes you're in a bull run and you're getting jobs upon jobs and invites upon invites. And then sometimes you're in a bear market where you're hardly getting anything. So it's best if you take on as much as you can reasonably, stack up your chips, right? And then when those bear markets come around, they would serve you your savings will serve you through those periods. And this is something I'll also discuss going forward, how to not just be a freelancer and offering services, but also how to manage your psyche as a freelancer and how to manage your finances as well as a freelancer. Those are very important things. So yes, don't just focus on one, focus on both at the same time, both LinkedIn and Upwork and any other platform that you can. The advice and the things I will teach you here will be applicable not just to Upwork, but to Fiverr, to Freelancer, to TopTal, to LinkedIn, and any other thing any other platform that you want to do, because these are general freelance, this is general freelance wisdom, right? So thank you for that question, and I really hope I did justice to it. That being said, let's go into today's agenda.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry, just a quick one. How many profile types is allowed? You mentioned about profile type, maybe in
So
total, how many? Okay, two maximum. All
yeah,
right, thank you.
two maximum. So two specialized profiles, then one general profile. That general profile is your specialized profile one plus your specialized profile two. Right. So general profile is not like another, you cannot say a writer, a developer, then a product designer, right? It has to be two. Then general profile will not combine those two. Okay. But of course,
All
there
right.
are people who work around it and even offer three services, but I wouldn't recommend that. People don't want to work with someone who seems like a jack of all trades. Okay. Right. So last week, so a recap of what we did last week. Last week we talked about let's see, one sec. Give me a second, guys. Sorry. I'm trying to find the curriculum I used last week because it's not the same. Okay, I think it's not the same as what I want to use today. I'm not finding that right now. I'm not finding that right now for some reason. Um, I'm not sure why, but I'm not finding the curriculum that I used last week in my mail. Um, okay, I think I found it. Okay, I found it. Good. So I think last week we talked about we talked about creating an Upwork. Yeah, creating an Upwork account. That's what we talked about. So last week, you talked about creating an Upwork account, and I talked about having, finding the right skills, which I think I also then have recapped in the process of talking about the specialized profiles and stuff like that. So whatever skills you have, you go on the platform, you choose those skills, those are the skills you want to offer on the platform. You fill out your profile basics, right? You write your bio, you have your photo, which at the last class I mentioned that has to be a professional photo. Background should be, so you can't have like a background like what I have here, where you're seeing my door and you're seeing the lights and the ceiling. It has to be a plain background, no noise in the background, no additional faces, no picture of your pets. Because as a joke one time I tried to upload a picture of me and my dog, but Upwork obviously didn't accept it. So plain background, professional looking, let it be close up so your face is showing clearly. I would recommend that you have a smile on so you look warmer and you look more personable, more hospitable. All right. Those are the kind of things that I would recommend as how you should how you should craft your profile photo. Then I also talked about your profile title, and I showed you guys examples of people who were not going the overly serious route in using their profile title. There was one, so I said, for example, if you're a writer, don't just say expert writer or um, professional writer. You want to spice it up just a little bit, in a reasonable way. You may want to, instead of being direct and saying, I'm a writer, you can use things that allude to writing. And going forward, my examples will always will mostly revolve around writing because that's what I do, but they're applicable to any skill sets. So we had one freelancer that I showed you guys because I shared my screen where the person's title wasn't even writer. It was words that thrill, no, words that kill, results that thrill. You could tell that that person is a writer because they're talking about words. But you would also want to work with that person because they stand out in the sea of expert writer, professional writer, top writer. And you see someone who uses words that thrill or words that kill, results that thrill. You're going to be curious. You want to read more. And then you click on their profile and you see their bio and stuff. I'm not saying be outlandish, but you also have to just stand out anyway. You can say, rather than just say professional writer, like I mentioned in last class, you can say you're a talented writer. You can say you are a badass writer, excuse my French. But I've seen people do that. It just things that kind of make your personality shine through and help you to stand out from the rest of the pile. Okay, so your title, you want to do stuff like that. You may also want to include results that you have gotten in the line of your work. Well, one of my students for my one-on-one classes, he's a PPC specialist. That's pay-per-click specialist, which is what you see when you search on Google and then you see some results at the top and then there's a sponsored label there. Those things that got in there through PPC. Someone somewhere is spending money to bid for those top three spots. Kind of like what I described to you with Upwork's bidding system, right? So that's PPC, that's what he does. And when we're optimizing his profile, I told him, don't just put PPC specialist, include something else. So I told him to put PPC specialist, include a divider, and then add $1 million plus spent. Okay. What that meant was that he has spent over $1 million on PPC campaigns for clients in the past. So when you have something like that, it signals to a client that not only do you do this, but you have done this in the past. So let's say you're an SEO writer, you can write talented SEO writer, put a divider, then write 10 articles on first page of Google or 10 articles on page one of Google. When you have that kind of title, they are seeing what you do. They are also seeing what you have been able to achieve in the line of work that you do in one fell swoop. You're definitely going to stand out. You're definitely going to stand out from the rest of the pack. People just say they are this, but don't include something further by saying this is what I have achieved as what it is that I am. Okay. That was one of the things that I mentioned at the last class when I was talking about how to put your title. Then the overview, that's essentially your bio. You talk there, you're supposed to discuss your your achievements just a little bit, but like I said, your bio should always be client-centric. It shouldn't be about what you do. It's not an opportunity for you to just toot your own horn with reckless abandon. You have to remember you're not on Upwork for yourself, you're on Upwork for clients, right? So your bio should be tailored towards that. You can talk about what you've done or what you do, what the results you've had, but you want to pay more attention to thinking about what the client wants and then putting those things in your bio. For example, I don't want to use writer again, I'm using so many writer examples. For example, if you are a developer, right? Or let's say a virtual assistant. Let's say a virtual assistant, right? You want to include in your bio, not just I'm a
Hello.
Hi everyone. I think uh, our facilitator is having some internet difficulties. Let's give him a minute to come back.
I'm not sure what happened. Was I the only one who got kicked out, or was this a general problem?
So you were frozen for a minute, I think. Are you back now?
Yeah, back, sorry.
Yeah, sure, that's okay.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Well, I just got kicked out. So, where was I? Let's
And so
take
you're
it.
giving an example of a virtual assistant or a virtual assistant.
Mhm. So, your bio or your overview has to be client-centric. There you discuss what you will do or what you can do for a client. Like I said, you could say that you can help to automate a lot of their processes with your knowledge of Python. So you could say that's how you stand out as an executive assistant over other people who are regular virtual assistants. Then say you are prolific with certain tools, right? Like you're, let's say, prolific with Asana, Trello, or Google Calendar, or Notion, right? You want to highlight all of those things, preferably in bullet points, so that at a glance the clients can see what added value you bring to them. Okay, that way they are able to filter you out, in your favor amongst the noise of people who just talk about themselves and ramble on and on and on and on without actually talking about how they can give value to the clients. So you want to spend less time saying, I have 5 years of experience as a virtual assistant or as a product manager. I have worked in this place and that place and that place, and I have done this. Like, okay, fine, you're amazing, you're great, but what can you do for me? That's what the client wants to know. So you should always ensure that you're thinking when you're writing your bio, what is in it for my clients? Very, very crucial. You should write that down. What is in it for my clients? That should always be at the back of your mind whenever you're creating your bio. It's going to guide you in creating the best bio possible. Those are the things that we discussed in the last class. It was a pretty brief one. And then I think I encourage you guys to go back and try to complete your profiles. I hope that you did that. If you did, let me know. If you didn't, let me know as well. If you encountered any problems, you can ask me about them at the end of the class, and I'll try to help you find a solution to your problems and to answer your questions. So today we today we're going to talk about crafting a winning profile. I'm going to share my screen shortly so you can see my screen and see what constitutes a winning profile. Okay, so let me share my screen. Share my screen. I'm not sure why I'm not seeing the option to share my screen. Okay, here it is. Yeah. Right, perfect. Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Today, like I said, we're discussing crafting a winning profile, right? Writing a compelling overview. Okay. So right off the bat, if you look at my profile here, I made it very concise, and I had the liberty to make it concise because I have a pretty um I have a pretty decent history. I have pretty decent history on the platform, right? Just straight up to some key stats at a glance. You don't have to do yours like this, of course, but it's fine if you want to. Then you see how I crafted my profile, right? I'm speaking to the client essentially. I try to make my bio conversational style. Okay. Look, I know you're here because you have a crypto project you're trying to get the word out on this flash your luck. And he then you need a marketing strategy that slaps, blog post that actually gets read, all of these things, reach out to me. Very concise and straight to the point. Why did I do it this way? Because, like I said, it should be very client-centric. What do you think the client wants? As someone who's a writer and a digital marketer, I know that they want strategy that's great. They want blog posts that would actually get some traffic, right? And they want things that may aid their attempts to go viral. Okay. I highlighted all of those things. So those are my value proposition. Okay. Then let's look at another profile here. I think I have my article blog post writing. Right. Like I said, it's always good to, oh yes, and I mentioned this in the last class, and I forgot to mention it in my recap today. Always include deliverables if you have such deliverables. Looking at my profile now, you see again, I'm ensure that my bio is not talking just about me, but about the client. Do you own a blog? Do you care about presenting content in your content in the best possible light? Do you care about having a strong brand voice? You have to get into the mind of the client, try and figure out what they want, what they're aiming for, what their goals are, and create the impression in their mind that you are the solution provider that they're looking for. If you have specific deliverables that you offer, you should include those as well. For me, I have blog posts, ebooks, email copies, essays, landing pages, news articles, newsletters, and press releases. These are deliverables. They help because sometimes clients are looking for something, just one thing. And when they are looking for the profile that offers that one thing that they're looking for. Okay. And you want to ensure that you present yourself as that, right? By specifying those deliverables. Think of a mechanic, for example, who's doing an advert for his car repair business, right? He would want to talk about, say, I can replace spark plugs, right? And I can change your oil, and I can um, help you revamp your suspension or your lower arms or your bushings. Okay. So when someone who has an issue with their spark plugs in their car is looking for a mechanic, and then they see one who's talking about how he has spent so many years as a mechanic and he has done this and done that and done that, that's for fine and dandy. Then they find another one who says, yeah, I've done all these, but I can also do these specific things, like fix issues with your spark plug. Okay, so if I'm looking for a mechanic who can help me fix issues with my car's plug, and I see that, I will be drawn to that mechanic automatically because they have mentioned my pain points. So it is absolutely critical that you have those deliverables because deliverables in themselves are pain points. Sometimes people are having trouble getting the perfect landing page. If you include it in your portfolio, in your overview or your bio, that you can deliver killer landing pages, then they're going to want to come to you because they can see that you have worked on their pain points before for someone in the past, and they want you to help them replicate those same results that you did for the other person in the past, right? Absolutely, absolutely crucial. Secondly, your portfolio examples. Right. So for my portfolio here, I'm just going to all work. My portfolio here, I have how many items? I have 6 items in my portfolio. Now, you can see this one here, this first one, NFT project press release. I had a client one time who was working on NFT called Block Recipes, and I wrote the press release for their NFT project. That is one of the first things you see on my portfolio. And the reason why that is so is because I know, or at the time, because like I told you guys before, I haven't really used Upwork in the last couple of years. I get my work off Upwork. But at the time, NFTs were the thing, they were the in thing, they were hot. And people were constantly looking for people who could help them build NFT marketplaces, who would help them put the word out for the NFT project, write articles about the NFT project, and just people who can work in the NFT space in one way or another. And that's why I have this particular item in my portfolio, which is an NFT press, a project press release. It's very important that you have especially if you have a niche, and this is why it's good to have a niche, because when you have a niche, it's easier to have ultra specific portfolio items like this that would ensure that clients who come through the door are able to see that in you is the solution to the problem that they currently have. When you're drafting your portfolio, it's Upwork would always ask you to give a little bit of background detail about the project. You can see here that I have the project description, which is my client is trying to launch a new NFT project similar in concept to Loot NFT collection. If you're really into NFTs, you probably have heard about Loot NFT. And I put this in capital letters because Loot was a very popular NFT project at the time. Putting it in capital letters so that it's more noticeable is helpful to you because getting clients sometimes is a psychological thing, right? If you can include certain words or phrases that clients are familiar with, they're automatically warming up to you when they see that you have swam in familiar waters. Okay, so if you're a designer, right, and you have done something for some company that did something for Figma, and you want to put that in capital letter in your project description or even in your bio, so that even if they don't breeze, even if they just breeze through your profile or your bio without actually reading everything sentence by sentence, they would definitely notice those capital letters and their eyes would travel to where it is and then they would see that you have worked on this project, right, or worked with this person. This is important when you're putting in your project description, which is what I did here. Then the I included a PDF of the press release that I wrote, right? Then just a general image I took from the internet that's related to what it is that we're working on because it was an NFT project and these are cryptocurrencies, which obviously relate to the whole blockchain technology ecosystem. Right? And I use that as my cover letter for this portfolio item. So always ensure that you have a catchy cover image for your portfolio items. Having that would really, really help you to capture your client's attention. I always advise people, never be afraid to go the extra mile. Like if you can, design a custom cover image for your portfolio item. People, and this is what a lot of people do not seem to understand, when people are trying to make a hiring decision, they're trying to make it as quickly and as efficiently as possible. So usually they are not poring over long, lengthy texts or being overly critical of your grammar and reading through things. Yeah, it's important that you do those things, but a lot of people want to see visuals, right? They want to see stuff that's familiar to them or that makes them curious. Then they're more inclined to want to click on it and see what's hidden beneath the hood. You can then put all of your fine details under the hood, but on top of the hood, it has to be attractive enough for the client to want to see what is underneath. All right. So um, that's how you get your portfolio items. There's something I'll talk about setting your rates. And I'm not sure, was it this class? Was it the last class I mentioned that or with someone else? But if you want to set your rates, you're going to need to do a little bit of market research. And I'll show you how to do that very quickly. So you have to do that very quickly. Have to do some market research. Yeah, so let's say we're looking for a project manager. That's a project manager. And it's already a project manager. Here, you want to find out what the average pricing is like. Let me make this full screen so you can see. Can you see my entire full screen? Most importantly, can you see this chart here? Can you guys see that?
There's something outside the gate, but like if I close the door, how am I going to do it?
Can you guys see that? Can you see the chart?
Yes, you can see.
Okay, fantastic. So this is one way you can do some market research to figure out what the average rate is in your industry. You can check through, you can create an Upwork client account, then search for your role. For example, if you're a project manager, you search project manager, right? When you search out project manager, you will then see a list of project managers, as you can see here. You can see a bunch of them towards the side. Then you can see the hourly rates down here. Looking at the shortest, some of the shortest bars, that gives you the outliers, the rates that are not very common in the market. That's $10 or under $10 rather. And then you have like $100, $90 here, $80 here, and so on and so forth. But the general range seems to be between here and here, $10 to $30. So that tells you that project managers typically earn $10 to $30 an hour. Since you're a beginner, of course, you will want to start off low to enable you to give yourself a fighting chance and be able to price yourself into a job, right? So $10 an hour for starters, but as you begin to build expertise, build work experience, and build work history, then you're going to want to increase that rate to $20 and $30. By the time you become really, really badass at it, then you want to go up and stomp with the big dogs around the $80 to $100 or $60 to $100 an hour rate bracket. So that's how I do my market research to figure out how much I should charge for a particular service. And that's how I always tell my students to figure out how much they should charge for their particular service. Simply go out, see what the industry average for your industry is, look at what the range for that average is, and then find somewhere within that range to price yourself. And that's most likely the sweet spot where you're able to maximize your chances of getting a job while also not underselling yourself in the process. You're still earning what is considered a fair wage for that industry. That's how I do my market research into figuring out how I should price my services, what rates I should use for my services. So going back to the profile, I want to show you how to use tags to optimize your profile to the maximum. Right, because like I said, it's a profile optimization. So then, today I was checking in with one of my students, and he applied for we did a small test. And something that I always do with my students. I did a small test where I create a job and tell them to apply for that job, and then I look at what their profile is like so that I can see what their profile looks like to clients who want to work with them. So I tell them, I created a job, I send them a link, apply for this job. Let me see what your profile looks like, and let me see if your profile looks attractive enough for clients to want to work with you. So I did that with all my clients, and I found out that even though he had, because we're still in the learning phase, so he hadn't earned anything, he hadn't done any work. But even though he had zero work history and he had zero earnings, $0 in earnings, his profile was top 2 in the portfolio list, in the proposals list that came in for that job, because some other random person applied for the job, within minutes. But his name came in second. Not only that, he came in with the label that I mentioned earlier, which is best match. Okay. Now he was able to get best match status not because he has some work experience or he's expert vetted or rising talent or top rated plus, but simply because his profile was so well optimized that it matched the client's needs exactly, right? And how did we do that? No, it wasn't only by creating a very good bio that talks about the essence of what the person does and what they can do for the client, but also we ensure that we use all of the right tags in the process of highlighting this is my student's skill set. Look at mine, for example. Now, at the bottom of the page here, if you go to your Upwork profile and you scroll down past your reviews, right, these are my reviews, and you scroll down up to here. You see a portion here which says skills. There you can include all of the skills that you have. For me, it's these things: technical writing, English, SEO writing, blockchain, NFT, and cryptocurrency, ghostwriting, SEMrush, cryptocurrency, article writing, all of those things. So these labels are critical in ensuring that you present yourself as the most consummate professional in that field for your client. So if you want to have a very specific niche, you can do away with all of the noise. Like, for example, if I wanted to really, really niche down very seriously, I'll probably do it with certain noise around here, such as technical documentation. I don't need that. Technical writing too may also go. Essay writing will certainly go. SEMrush most likely go. And I'll use only tags that reflect my very, very ultra specific skill sets. For example, if you're talking about being a Web3 writer, a Web3 designer, you want to ensure that your skill sets and the tags under your skill set talk about things like Web3, crypto, blockchain, NFT, right? And this is not just to say you throw in any bunch of random keywords. It needs to have a structure, right? There's going to be, you're going to talk about all of the things that you do that's related to your core service offering, and not just talk about other general things that don't really apply because you want to fill up your number of slots or you want to seem versatile. No, sometimes versatile, I'm not saying it's bad to try to be versatile, but sometimes versatility can be a stumbling block or a speed bump in your journey towards success as a freelancer. So always ensure that you streamline your skill set to exactly what it is that you can do. That way, when clients come there and they look at your profile, they're able to see and identify very specific things that they need on your profile. And secondly, so that when you apply for a job and the client is going through a list of applicants, they can see that yours has that best match label because you have simply optimized your profile to perfection. So those are the processes for how you can optimize your profile. Okay. So just to recap all that I've said regarding optimizing your profile. Number one is okay. We've talked about the title already. You see the phrase I use here: Web3 writing and marketing maverick. Now, this is not something you usually see in a business mail, an office mail, where we're using words like maverick to describe someone. It's like using warlock, which I have seen actually. Some who call themselves a warlock, maybe a writing warlock or something like that. Okay, this kind of the usage of terms like these help to make you stand out from amongst your competitors. Second thing I talked about was right off the bat, talking about you very briefly. I was talking about you very briefly at the beginning, not to cut it off and now talk about the client. So talk about the client. I know that you're looking for this. Have you experienced this? Is this the reason why you came on Upwork? Are you facing this problem in your business? Are you facing that problem in whatever aspect of your life that you need help with? Once you can get into the mind of the clients and imagine what's that this client would want and tailor your profile to match what you believe the client wants, which can also be backed by data or research, of course, then you have found the sweet spot of optimizing your profile for clients. And you have to ensure that your profile is client-centric. Let's talk about the benefits for the client and not the benefits for you, and not just how good you are, how stupendous you are at your job. Okay. And I mentioned the need to have a see. I mentioned the need to think what's your mic distraction? No, right. Okay. So I mentioned the need to have your deliverables spelled out bullet points at a glance so that clients can see it. Very, very important, because you can miss out on a lot of opportunities simply because clients do not see what they want to see or hear what they want to hear on your profile. Ensure that you're not a victim of that, you're not losing jobs or losing money because of that. And optimize the heck out of your Upwork account using all of the right keywords, all the right terms, and all of the right deliverables that you think that the clients in your industry would seek. Let's talk about the portfolio items. On Upwork, you can add as many items to your portfolio as possible, but general things that you want to do when you're optimizing your portfolio items is ensure you have a picture that's relevant to what it is that you're offering so that you seem more familiar, right? To the clients. Make sure it's relevant so that you seem more familiar. That's one. Second thing is when you're and still on that point, actually, if it's possible to include the logos of clients that you have worked with as the image for your portfolio, then do it. So say you've done some work for Nestle as an example. You want to include Nestle's logo here because, like I said, include visuals that are familiar to the clients so that when they see it, they're like, oh, I know this, and I'm surprised this person also knows this as well. I want to find out more. And then they click and then they learn more about what it is that you do. One trick, very, very important trick here. So please listen up. Very, very important trick that I recently discovered that works wonders for your Upwork profile is when you're naming your portfolio items, okay, do not stop at naming them alone. Include the outcome of that project. I'll give you an example. My student who's a PPC specialist, when I was helping him with the optimization of his profile and then we got to the portfolio part, he had he had written that he did work for XYZ company. And I said, this is great, but this is what every freelancer writes. I did project for Nescafe, project for some other product or brand or figure that's recognizable. But don't stop there. Include the results that you got. So for my students who's a PPC specialist, I said, write, oh, you worked on this project, but you also want to include what the outcome of your engagement with that project or with that company was. And what did I tell them to do? I told them to instead write 12,000 signups in, I think it was in 30 days or so, or 3 days, 12,000 signups in 3 days for XYZ company. That way you have done two things. One, you have made it clear that you worked with this brand, that's possibly a reputable one. But secondly, you have made it clear what it is that you're able to achieve for that brand. It makes it sound more credible when you're not just saying, I did this for this person, but you're backing it up with facts that not only did I do this, but I achieved this. Include that, especially if it includes numbers, because numbers are more easily noticeable and I think more easily digestible to the average person than when you're writing out long titles all the time. So if you did an NFT, if I did an NFT project, right, and from the NFT project you're able to sell $500,000 worth of NFTs, I'm going to include that in my project, in my portfolio item. I'm going to include that in my portfolio item because it shows the results that you have been able to achieve in your line of work. So I'd have just said, say, $500 of NFT sold, or press release for block recipe, a divider, $500,000 in NFT sold, or $500,000 in NFT sold via press release for XYZ company for block recipe. When clients see that, and remember, keep this at the back of your mind when you're doing anything on Upwork, what you're trying to do is you're trying to sell yourself and convince the clients to work with you. So you're not just going to bore them with words upon words upon words. Make your things concise, make them visually appealing, and use numbers. When you use numbers, you make it easier for the client to follow what it is that you're doing. It's easier for them to trust you because they feel that they are not just reading a bunch of words that may be out to deceive them, but they are seeing numbers which people perceive as objective, as easily quantifiable. It gives them that sense of I'm not being bamboozled by random words, but I'm also being shown numbers that inform me as data points and can help me to make a more informed decision. I always include things like that in your um in your portfolio. The last thing I talked about was the skills, right? If you have any skills, especially if you're in a niche, right? If you have any skills that are relevant to that niche, include them in your skills. If you're a product manager, right? You're a product manager, you talk about product management, don't now start including things like copywriting or including things like content writing or cryptocurrency mining. No, you're a product manager. So you want to keep all your skills within the confines of what it is that make a project manager exceptional, because you want to present yourself as an exceptional and an outstanding project manager. So thankfully, let me show you how the skills part works. Thankfully, Upwork doesn't just leave you at your own mercy to do whatever you like. They always provide you with suggestions. Say this is writing now, and I want to type biography writing, right? I'll type, yeah, you see that Upwork has the option there. So you just need to think it. I want to do this, and then you type it, you start typing it, Upwork shows you what they believe is the complete phrase that you're going for. In this case, biography writing. Obviously, I've reached my limits because the maximum is 15 skills. But having added this biography writing, to my skill set, it helps in the optimization of my profile if that is what I actually do, but it also damages my profile if that is not what I do. So ensure that all of the skills that you include inside or under the skills tab of your profile match what it is that you do exactly. If you're in a niche, if you are a non-fiction writer, right, and you do mostly you're writing about real people, like their biographies, right? You want to include things like that in your skills in the tab for your skills, because those are the things that your client is looking out for. You want to position yourself as someone who has not just a general understanding of what the client wants, but has very, very specific understanding that speaks to the very core of the client's desires. Those are the elements that constitute drafting, drafting a great profile. So does anyone have any questions? We've covered everything for today. Yeah. So does anyone have any questions for me? Now I'm ready to take on your questions if you have any for me. Any questions, anyone? I'll give you guys a minute to think about your questions you might have and then present them to me so I can tackle them.
Hello. So one someone has a question here saying, isn't it going to be challenging to sell oneself as a newcomer?
Pardon, what did you say? No, what did you say? Can you repeat that, please?
So I'm saying that there's a question in the comment section. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
okay, yeah, I can hear you. Let me check. Sorry, because I was on my browser, I didn't see it. But now I'm here. Okay, this is going to be challenging to sell myself as a newcomer. All right. I will note down that question. Divine, you have a question. You may go ahead and ask your question.
Thank you. I've been going through. Um, I see probably the first thing someone is supposed to do is this optimization of his or her profile. So I don't know. Is there any call to action? Is there something? Is there a follow through? Is there something? Is there an arrangement where you could put us through? I mean, step by step. Someone we will go through the profile and make sure it's well optimized so that we could begin to stand out on the platform. I don't know. Do you have such
Yeah, okay,
arrangement?
thanks for that question. I'm noting your question, so you may go ahead and just like, if you have a question, okay, Clement, go ahead, ask the question.
Yeah, thank you very much for this insightful lecture. This is my question. Actually, I opened Upwork way back like 3 or 4 years ago, but I never believed in the Upwork system then. So I'm more of a freelance, but I deal with more of physical clients. Now I've reactivated my Upwork back. I'm going to optimize it. But the fact that I've opened it way back and I didn't do any project, does it work to my disadvantage? Obviously, someone going through it and realize that this person has been there for 3, 4 years and I haven't gotten any job. It's because I was not just active on it. I just reactivated back just 3 weeks ago.
Okay, okay. That's fine. That's absolutely all right. Yeah. Any other questions? I'm writing down your questions, so I'll take them all at once. Is there any other
Okay.
question?
My own question is so let's say you are not very skilled in a particular skill and it's more or less like you are still at an intern level, but unfortunately for whatever reason you've not been able to get internship space and you want to be able to get maybe free gigs or whatever, even to just work free for the next 3 months. Can you make use of Upwork? If so, what are the best practices or what's your general advice for such person?
Okay, I've answered your question. I will answer your question.
Sorry, did you get that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions before I take on your question? If I take on your first argument answers. And questions and questions and questions. No questions. Okay. Well, one I'm seeing two questions. Someone said, can I summarize everything in points? I said, uploading Upwork app. Which one, sir? Seeing different Upwork, sir. Okay, that's fine. I'll note those questions as well. Thank you very much for your questions. I'm glad you're asking questions. I like it when my sessions are engaging. So just give me a few seconds. Okay. So there are no more questions. I'll answer the ones that are available. And I'll start with these ones in the Q&A tab and work my way up to the very first questions. So stay with me, guys. Right. So anonymous participant said, sir, uploading Upwork app. Which one, sir? Seeing different Upwork, sir. That's a lot of sirs. Yeah, we can leave the sirs for later and just focus on communicating purely. Right. So there are two different Upwork apps you would find. There's the Upwork Talent app, and then there's the Upwork Client app. Okay. So let me just show you the both of them here on my phone. Economy, yeah, okay, business. Right. So we can see my phone screen here. So the white one, you can see the white one says Upwork Talent. That's the one that you're looking for. The other one is Upwork Clients. I use it when I want to hire people on Upwork, but I also use it to sort of simulate what my students' profiles look like to clients when they apply for jobs. and use it as a way to help them optimize their proposals, optimize their profile, and help them stand out better. So that white one that you saw, that's the one that you're looking for. That's Upwork Talent. That's this one. That one. All right, that's the one you're looking for. That's Upwork Talent. That's the one that you should download. Or you can just use your browser on your phone or on your laptop and go to upwork.com. It will take you automatically to the homepage, and then you can sign in as a freelancer or as a client, whichever one you're looking for. Can I summarize everything in points? Yes. Well, honestly, I like to, because when I'm teaching, I teach from experience. So I like to just give you the information that I want to share right from my dome, right? But that's why I'm not working with slides and whatnot, but I will provide you with pointers. I will share those on the group chats that cover the essentials of what it is that I have talked about, right? How to optimize your profile, the things to look out for, the things to include, yada yada, all of those things. I'll put them into a document and then send them to the group so you can review in your free time. But honestly, if you want to gain the most from my classes, my teaching style is that I give you all of that information off the top of my head, because I'm doing this for so long, and I expect you to take notes, and that's why I always leave room for questions. So if there's anything that's confounding you in my explanations, you can always call me back to it at the end of the class and ask questions about it. And then at the next class, before I begin, I always ask if you have any questions from the previous class to ask me so I can tackle those before I then go on to what I'm talking about today. So I would recommend that for my classes, don't just, because I back in uni, for example, right, people would not listen in class because they know that they will get the slides later or they get the material later. Some even show up in class because they just want to read the material. And you can't get as much value from that condensed 12 or 20-page presentation as you would if you're here and you're listening to me live and hearing my demonstrations and asking questions and just being immersed in the whole experience of the class. So that's why I don't like to rely on those things, because I just think they're a cop-out for people who don't want to pay attention in class and are just waiting for the slides to drop. All right. So please, going forward, have a note and a pen to take down everything that I say. And I will try to provide summaries, but I'm not promising that those summaries will always be available. Thankfully, you have video recordings that we share with you, so you can always watch them back for anything that you're not understanding. And then note down your questions from me for our next class. Right. So well, I can see there are more questions here that I missed in the chat room. Okay, I'll answer all your questions. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay. All right. So let me take the questions in the chat room. I'll start from the latest one and work my way up to the oldest questions. What's your advice to those people who have just learned the skill and are looking to monetize it but don't have experience? How do we get our profile to be noticed or stand out since we don't have experience? That question is similar to that question was from Faith Okewale. It's similar to the question that was asked by Oladejo Adenike, which is going to be challenged to sell oneself as a newcomer. Absolutely. It's going to be challenging. It has to be challenging. Nothing new is a work in the park. It has to be challenging if you're a newcomer. Okay, same from Olatobi Jinadu. And that's fine. It's going to be challenging as a newcomer to sell yourself, but it's not impossible. You just need to know that you'll be doing a lot of heavy lifting. You'll be doing a lot of going the extra mile to prove yourself than someone who has all of the experience and all of the work history. People who have all the work history, many of them don't even bother applying for jobs. They get invited to jobs because they're that good or they're that established. but you're not that guy yet. So you're not that girl yet. You need to work your way up from the bottom to the top. But it's not impossible. It's only difficult, but not impossible. And how do you do it? Like I said, you need to go the extra mile. You need to prove your worth to your clients by making sure that your proposals are not tailored for talking about what you have done, whether off or on Upwork, or talking about what you will do for the clients. Even sometimes it may be advisable to prefer a bit of a solution to the clients, but like that doesn't mean you should do the work. Well, tell the client if for this project, I have some ideas. I think you can do it like this and then do it like this. But stop there, don't give away so much. Then say, if you would like to, I would really love to share all of my ideas with you. Please schedule a call and then we can discuss in more detail. That is how you write a CTA that ensures that the client wants to speak with you, even if you don't really have a lot of work history. But what can help you the most to succeed, even without having that work history, is how you optimize your profile. Just because, I want you guys to notice, just because you're a newbie on Upwork, doesn't mean you're a newbie in your industry. You may actually have work experience and have jobs and portfolio items off of Upwork, but you're just coming on Upwork for new opportunities, right? Let it show on your profile all of those things that you have achieved. And if you don't have any work history, right? And I know this is what a lot of people want to really know. If you don't have any work history, you've not done any work, you're a complete newbie in this space, complete greenhorn, right? How do you still ensure that I'm coming from Lana, from Lyle. So how do you ensure that you are able to get hired? Well, in the last class, I think I talked about this. Create projects for yourself as if that project was given to you by an actual client. If you're a writer, write 3 articles on whatever niche you want to go into, then upload them on Upwork as if they were given to you by a client who paid for them. At the end of the day, the purpose of seeing your portfolio items is for the client to know if you can do the job. Where you did it, when you did it, doesn't matter. The question is, can you do the job? Is there proof that you can do the job? If you know you can do the job, then create projects for yourself. Even if you know you're not very good at it, but you really want to get that job, or you really want to get jobs on Upwork, it's fine. Upwork caters to beginners as well. In fact, when you're signing up on the platform, you choose your skill level. Are you a beginner? Are you intermediate? Or are you an expert? You can choose beginner. That way, clients, because some clients actually come on the platform looking for newbies to recruit because they have a strong training system internally and they know they can polish those newbies into established professionals. So on your part, what you can do is sign up as a beginner, right? But ensure you optimize your profile. Talk about what you can do. And very, very important as well, something that I should have mentioned but I didn't mention is sometimes it's not just about what you can do, but the attitude that you bring to work, your work ethic, and how you approach new projects. You're approaching projects with excitement. Are you someone who loves new challenges? And when you see a challenge, you're ready to take it on. You can talk about that in your profile as well. If you don't have accolades to talk about, you can talk about that too. People who love to work with an enthusiastic person who has a great personality and who is willing to break their back to get the result, even if they don't have the technical ability. If you watch football, right, we are talking about players like, and some people may disagree here, but players like Fred of Manchester United, right, or players like, I really can't think of any more examples right now, but I think for those who know Fred, you may be able to get what I'm talking about. This is someone who's not the most technically gifted player, isn't a great passer, doesn't have great shooting ability, doesn't have great vision, isn't particularly, fast, but will always give 100%. And those kinds of people also succeed everywhere in every industry. So if you don't have those yet, but you're willing to learn, and you have that hunger to succeed, make it clear in your bio. And I promise you, you will find a client who's looking for someone just like you and will be willing to take you on to work with you and then polish you or refine you to that level where you're now like an absolute badass at what it is that you do. So I do hope that I have answered the questions. Yeah, it's challenging to sell yourself as a newcomer, but there are multiple ways you can sell yourself, not just on your skills, but also on your work ethic. You can, if you're a newcomer, you can ask Nora for previous materials. I'm sure those are available for you to read and go through. Mm. Yeah. Okay, so I've answered Faith's question as well, which is how do you get a profile to be noticed even if you don't have experience? Create the experience for yourself. If you're a designer, design projects, design apps, design landing pages, put everything there as if you're actually hired. Give a little background information. For this landing page was for this landing page is for a project named X. On for this project, the goal was to ensure that the interface was both intuitive and also worked smoothly. To achieve that, I did ABC and the result was XYZ. Like that, you have created a project and you have explained that project that shows not only that you can do the project, but also tells the client your thinking process, right? So they know that you actually did that project by yourself. Okay. Um, okay. Front-end developer, no work experience. Yeah, still go allow for gigs on Upwork, even if you don't have work experience. The front-end developer, develop a couple of things and put them in your portfolio as a project and see whether or not you'd get a job. Okay. So those are the questions in the chat. Now let me take to the questions that people asked me via the voice channel. From Lion, you're having trouble uploading your passport for verification. Change position. You're exhausted. Well, look for places that are well lit. Better to use natural lighting. Make sure that your background, make sure your camera lenses are clean and they're clear. So clean it properly. Maybe there's some smudge on the screen that's affecting the or blocking important details on your passport. Make sure you clean your screen, clean your passport, make sure everything is spick and span. Find a place with good lighting. Steady your hand or put it on a flat, stable surface and keep as straight an angle as you can and take that picture and upload. It should work. If you're having trouble, then you may want to contact Upwork supports and they should be able to help you with other means of identification. Yeah. So back to the people who asked questions like verbally. The last person to ask a question verbally said, how do you get clients for free work even with no proper skills? Oh, well, coincidentally, I've already answered that question because apparently a lot of you have that question. If you don't have the proper skill, you are at a beginner. Upwork will cater to you as well by allowing you to sign up as a beginner, and then you can from there build up your skill level, sign up as a beginner. The clients can see that this person is a beginner, so they're not expecting expert level deliverables from you. They are more forgiving, they are more understanding. Obviously, it goes without saying that if you're a beginner, you can't charge at a certain level. You need to make do with the lower echelons of earnings for that industry. But with the right attitude, you can get more projects under your belt. You can slowly build expertise and thereby build your earning power in the process. Okay. This is a lengthy question. Okay, I will answer that last. Is it a disadvantage to leave your profile dormant? That someone asked that question. No, it's not. Funnily enough, my PPC student, he joined Upwork, I think in 2023 or 2024, never got any jobs, never got hired at all. He had applied, never got hired. He left the platform for months, then just reached out to me one day. I was like, yo, I need your help. I know you are very, experienced on Upwork. Put me through. We agreed on a fee. I created a curriculum and we got to work, right? Today was our last class because we started at the beginning of February. Today was our last class, and yesterday he got his first contract, right? It wasn't much. It was a $35 job, okay? But it was a stepping stone. It's definitely a stepping stone to greater things. My first job was a $10 payout I got. And from there, I've gone to 1000x. What's 1000x? Or like 10,000x that amount in my freelance career, both off and on Upwork. Okay. So it's not a disadvantage at all. Clients don't even know that you've been here for a long time. They know you've been here for a long time by seeing your work history because Upwork would date your work history. They did this job from January 2020 to December 2024, they earned this amount. This was the hourly rate. This was the total they earned. This was the feedback. This their rating, right? But if you don't have any work history, no one has any idea that you've been on Upwork for 15 years. They can only know how long you've been there or guess. They can only hazard a guess how long you've been there based on the timestamps on your past projects. Okay. So it's not a disadvantage at all. Like I said, my clients had been on Upwork for a year or two, and I got anything. And yesterday we got our first contract. Before then, he already got an interview got 2 interviews last week. One of them became a paid contract this week. I'm still expecting feedback from the other one by this weekend. So it's not a disadvantage at all. Don't let that discourage you. Show you how to optimize your profile. Well, I think I already covered optimization of the profile. I talked about your bio. I'll give you just bullet points. I'll put it in a small PDF and I'll send it to the group chat. How to optimize your header, right? I told you about how to use your title. Don't just talk about I'm an expert, this, I'm expert that. Talk about what put your results, okay? Put something witty, something funny, something clever, something catchy, anything that makes you stand out. But obviously doesn't make you come across as ridiculous or clownish. So you have to learn how to toe the line reasonably so you don't go overboard with it. Once you have your profile down pat, then you can move on to your I have a note here. Maybe I'll look for it after the class and I'll share that. After you've optimized your title, you then move on to your bio. I think in the last class, I gave you what's cost the 6 things that make up a good bio. I don't have the book here, but I'll just tell you off the top of my head. You need to talk about your achievements, right? Not in too much detail. Achievements. You don't talk about your experiences or how many years you have worked in the space. You don't talk about what you will do what you have done for clients in the past, what you can do for the clients that you're working with now. That's 4. Your deliverables, what you can deliver for the clients. Can you deliver a landing page, an ebook, a newsletter, whatever it is, your deliverable. And then the 6th thing is your call to action, which is, okay, you've heard all these things that I said. Now, let's work together. Book me for a call, book me for a free discovery call, a session to discuss your project in detail. Send me a contract, send me an invite, include a CTA. Make it not just a CTA that you're saying, do this with me, but try and include a sort of promise of what they're going to get if they take that CTA, that call to action. So you could say, reach out to me and let's take your business from 6 figures to 7 figures. If let's say you're in growth marketing, right? Reach out to me and let's take your business from 6 figures to 7 figures. Those kinds of things, having that CTA and the promise at the end of that CTA can help. These little things can, chip away at your potential client psyche and tip the scale in your favor. So that's how you optimize your profile. That's how you optimize your bio, right? So I've talked about your title, I've talked about your bio, how to optimize your bio. Next thing we're going to talk about is your portfolio. And I told you, ensure you have a catchy cover image that would make the client want to click on that portfolio item to read what's behind it. When they look behind it after clicking on your catchy image, then you want to talk about the project description. What did you do? What was your contribution? What was the outcome? Make it thematic. Give it a theme behind it. So this was the client's problem, right? This was the problem they're facing. This was the result they're trying to achieve. Then they brought me in to do this. This is how I did it, and this was the result I was able to get them. Then you compare, was that result close to what they wanted? Did it exceed the expectations? Did it fall short? It's important to be honest, right? No matter how good you are at what you do, you can't always have 100%, a 100% success rate on every single product. You will fall short sometimes, right? But always ensure that you make it clear that you always give your best, and that even if you don't exceed clients' expectations, at least you meet the expectations or come very, very close to, right? But of course, you don't want to prop up your fuck ups, excuse my French. You don't want to prop up your slip ups. You don't want to do that. But at the same time, you don't want to lie. Maybe exaggerate a little bit. A little bit of hyperbole may not be too bad, but you don't want to go overboard and overdo it and end up just line, straight out line about what it is that you can do. Okay, so that's how that's the portfolio item. Then the last thing is your skills, which I showed you on my screen. I showed everything on my screen anyway. So your skills, you want to highlight your skills by pointing out, by choosing the technologies or the specific skill set that you have, like technical writing. If you use tools like SEMrush, RFs, you want to include that. If you're a developer and you're very good at Angular or React, you want to choose those things. Choose those things alongside the other things that are core to your main offering. Don't include things that go away from that, because it's also going to affect the jobs that you see on your profile. If you say you're a developer and then in your skill set you're adding technical writer, you're going to start seeing writing jobs on your profile, and that's not what you want, right? So leave all of that, leave all the noise, focus on your core service offerings. You're a developer, use technologies like Angular and React. Then you build, let's say you build apps, you build Android apps, you build iOS apps, you deploy those apps to the app stores, so like app deployment, app debugging, if that's something you do, all of those things that are, incidental to your core offering, include all of those things, and you would have a cleaner job post homepage where the only jobs you're seeing are jobs that are relevant to you, and two, you're able to optimize your profile such that you become a best match for clients who are looking for that particular service, because everything and anything that's connected to your profile speaks to that thing. And you can't expect to be a perfect match to a client who needs a developer when out of your 15 skills, 5 of them are writing. Someone who's a developer, all 15 skills are development related. Okay, so that's how you optimize your profile. And once you have all of those things, you have your title sorted, you have your bio sorted with the steps that I have given you, you have your portfolio items uploaded and following the format that I gave you, and then lastly, you have your skill sets highlighted. From that point, you just keep bombing, right? Keep sending in proposals, applying for jobs, and it's only a matter of time, not too long. Like I said, literally, my last student took like 3 weeks to get their first interview and 4 weeks to get their first offer. And this is like in 2025, when people are saying, oh, it's hard to get work on Upwork and stuff like that. Yeah, it's hard, but like you can do it if you know the right things to do and you do the right things and you have proper guidance from someone who has walked that path before you. Okay. Last question I'm going to answer is this lengthy one from Reginald. EHI, not EVI, but no problem. Freelance remote related to Nigerian freelancers. If you are in Nigeria on some of these freelance platforms, getting a freelance gig might be a little bit harder when compared to our counterparts overseas. This is so negative stigma towards Nigerians. Let me show some discounts and the rest, which made some table falsified applications in their freelance profile. How true is this? My experience, does it hold water? Just so by probably the insurance freelancers to justify their incompetence. Yeah, very good. This is like you're asking the difficult questions that I feel a lot of people shy away from in the freelance space. I'm big on transparency, and I like that you're asking this question. This is a very, very critical question. Now, is it true? Short answer, yes, it's true. How do I know? Because I tested the hypothesis myself. And how did I do that? I didn't falsify my location. I've always had Lagos, Nigeria as my location on Upwork. What I did was I reached out to a friend who was living in the UK, right? And I told her to create an Upwork profile and then let me manage the account for her. So I managed the account for her and I optimized it and did everything. I started applying for jobs. She was offering the same service as I was. So I was sometimes seeing the same jobs that I was seeing on my profile, on my page, or on my account, on hers as well. Then at the time, I think I was on about 3K or 3K dollars in earnings on Upwork at the time. My friend's account was a new one. No earnings, no work history, nothing. I applied for a job with my profile. I applied for that same job with her profile. In fact, I think I put in more effort into writing my own proposal than I did her own, if I do say so myself, right? Because I wanted to get the job for myself, of course, right? Then lastly, obviously I had the work history. I'd done about 10 jobs, earned over $3,000 and probably had logged almost 100 hours of work, right? Yet surprisingly, one of those jobs that we both applied for, I didn't get a response on my profile, but she got a response on her profile. The context, she's in the UK, so her location was London, United Kingdom. But of course, you really can't build a case off of one example. It could be an outlier, it could be a fluke, a mistake. But I have also observed consistently, and I am aware of this thing you talked about, people changing their location, because I know people who have done that. I know people who do that, right? Although Upwork has now begun to clamp down on those things because they noticed that people were doing that, and then sometimes they ask people to start submitting documents like proof of residence or like tax papers or some things like that, right? And I've noticed that the people who do those things actually tend to get more success than people who are in Nigeria. In fact, I know of instances where people have been denied work simply because they are in Nigeria. So it is not false, and you're not wrong, that there is that negative perception in the gig, in the freelance economy, right? However, a lot of people still thrive in the midst of that. I know I have encountered freelancers who have earned more than $200,000 on Upwork. One was in Oshobo, I think, or somewhere. $200,000 in Ife. I know one guy over 20 or 30, over 30K dollars, right? So while it is true and it makes it harder for us to rise up the ranks, it is by no means a, a discouragement, okay? Because a lot of people still thrive regardless of those things. Now, if you want to take the red pill and change your location, it's your prerogative. I can't tell you what to do and what not to do. Just know that you may be penalized. It may make things easier for a while, but perhaps not in the long term. Especially when it comes to things like paying taxes. Because like if you're in the US or the UK, you have to pay taxes, and they may even request that you submit some tax documents, right? But I don't really know the intricacies because my account is a Nigerian one. But you can succeed. With these things that I have told you, you can succeed. And one thing I have noticed is that a lot of clients prefer to work with Africans or people in the global south, in the third world, because they consider them or consider us as cheaper talents, cheaper alternatives to the pricey talents they have in the West. So yeah, you may end up getting hired on the basis of someone somewhere is trying to save costs, right? On the basis of someone is making a business decision to save on their expenses. But as long as the pay is fair to you, your pay grade, it's good enough for you to live a good life, then there's no problem, right? You can always use that to undercut, even in the world of business. Why does Apple design their products in California, then go and build it in China or Taiwan? Because labor is cheaper. Why do businesses sometimes move their headquarters or move their factories to other countries where labor is cheap? Because they're trying to save on business costs, right? You may say, oh, those countries have a bad reputation, yada, yada, but they still go there to find that cheaper labor because at the end of the day, if anyone is coming on Upwork to hire a freelancer, what's on their mind is they want to get quality work and also they want to make a profit for their business. So if you can prove that regardless of education, you provide quality work, and secondly, you can show that because of education, you can help them maximize their profits by offering great quality service for reasonably less, then I think you have found the holy grail of success. And yeah, the reputation can be a bad thing, but it's a double-edged sword. It's a mixed bag. While the reputation can be bad, it can also be good because it helps you to be able to work with people who are trying to maximize profits by not hiring, by circumventing, the expensive talents in Europe and in North America. Okay, so that's what it is about that rumor, and that's the complete truth about it. So it's up to you to do with that information as you please. But I'm the messenger and I have delivered my message. So I believe that we have come to a close for today's classes. I think I took a lot of questions, and I hope that I did justice to those questions. I am now on the group chat, so if you have any further questions, you can just drop them in the chat. In my free time, I may come in and respond. If I don't respond, then I'll respond in our next class, before we begin what it is that we're going into next week. So thank you very much for showing up today, guys. Really appreciate it. Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Of course, it's absolutely fine. Thank you very much, Reginald. Thank you to everybody. Nora, you may take
Thank
it
you
from.
very much for your time and the insights. So great.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you so much, Ehi. Thank you. That was
Yes,
insightful. I look forward to seeing you in our next class. Have a great day,
absolutely.
everybody.
You too. Bye. Bye, everybody.